St. Brown the Trojan proudly presents a recap of the NBA playoffs. Ew, another one of these? Decided to turn into the early 2020s Bulls, eh? Well, you're gonna get the Bulls experience. Alright, you'll spin your tires as a franchise and lose in the play-in. This time you lose to a Mavericks team who stupidly traded their best player to the Lakers and was ripe for laughter by the internet. I don't think the Kings can truly compete with this roster and this team. Shame. Speaking of the Chicago Bulls, here they are now. Despite the actual Pope being on your side, Chicago sports still can't catch a break. This time they lose to a 10 seed who traded their best player away. But look at them, they made the playoffs, you say as your franchise slips further into a rebuild. At least they can finally, get into one. Or maybe they can just somehow convince Giannis to come to town and ignore a lot of team issues. I'm honestly surprised this team even got into the play-in, let alone get one win in it. Unfortunately for them, when they faced the Grizzlies, they realized they were playing an actually serious franchise who wanted to win. Such a shame. I wanted to see Anthony Davis go on a really funny playoff run. But no. But look, the Mavericks say, we have Cooper Flag. We're fine. And to that I say, wait, how the heck did you get Cooper Flag? That was one of the worst play-in performances I've ever seen. When it came to the Magic, they simply got exposed against a far superior team. But the game against the Heat, that was a disaster class of basketball. Trae Young simply cannot do it on his own. Who would have guessed that the DGM trade would be bad for both sides? The Pelicans got injured like crazy this year, so they couldn't benefit this year. And the Hawks did, well, that. Something's gotta change here. One time the Grizzlies were one of the top 5 teams in the whole league, and were actually fine in the West like they said. But they ended up falling apart down the stretch and ended up needing to go through the play-in just to even play here in the playoffs. And when they got there, they faced a far superior Oklahoma City team. They did have one competitive game until Ja Morant got injured and the season ended right there. And then they blew a 30-point lead to make sure they would never win this series. But yeah, not much you can do when your star player goes down. Oh well, better luck next year. Of all the teams in the Eastern Conference to make the playoffs, it was the 10th seed even after they traded their best player. That's honestly pretty impressive. Too bad it meant nothing since the Cavs were eager to prove themselves again and completely wipe the floor with you. 4-game sweep. The Eastern Conference is actually so bad that I kinda expect them to make the playoffs again next year. Somehow, someway, they'll find a way to do it. I'll go about as fast here as the Celtics dispatch them. They were the worst possible matchup this team could have gotten. They're just not ready to face bigger and better teams than them. You will get one pity win in this series, and a new logo to boot. But this series proved that you need more, and you need to find a way to get it. Well done, boys. You pulled off one of the greatest single-season turnarounds in NBA history, and made the world believe in Cade Cunningham of all people. And you fought hard enough with the Knicks that it became one of the best series of the entire playoffs. And the best series not to involve the Nuggets. But oh my gosh, do you need to learn how to win at home. 3 straight home losses. These playoffs. You'll be back, though. No way this team's staying down now. Clippers Nuggets was probably the best series of the year if we're being honest. And it was my pick for the best series of the entire playoffs. Clutch moments and buzzer beaters all around in the series. The Clippers managed to force a Game 7 on the road, and they dried up. You look like the 2023 Clippers in the playoffs out there. A total waste of talent. I'm actually super interested to see what the Clippers do in the offseason. They finally feel like they have their own identity and clearly need more to compete. Maybe they could trade for Paul George again? Well, the Greek Freak's revenge has epically failed. In 5 games, we can safely say the Bucks lost the Damian Lillard trade. Oh, but he was injured, you may say. Probably wouldn't have mattered anyway. Remember that you traded Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma. Yeah. Giannis needed to carry this team like no other carry job he's done. And he did not do that. And good lord does the media want Giannis to get traded. It may actually happen too this offseason. What a pity. That was a disaster class of basketball. The Lakers went from potential championship contenders to out in 5, and no one feels bad for them. You may have fleeced the Mavericks hilariously with the Luka trade and made them an absolute laughingstock, but there was one thing you had to sacrifice in this trade. You have no rim protection, and Anthony Davis actually had rim protection. But it was all fine and dandy until you landed a first-round matchup with one of the most electric rim attackers in the game. Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves were the worst possible first-round team they could have faced. Will LeBron retire is the big question. No. But I'm not sure if the Lakers can truly compete without him doing so. Really? The Houston Rockets? This turnaround's actually almost as shocking as the Pistons turnaround. They went from fringe playoff contender to second seed with a young, hungry defense unlike anything the world has ever seen. Or at least the NBA for a good while. Unfortunately, you just so happen to run into your owners, the Warriors, who have oodles of playoff experience unlike you. And they ended up torching you in 7. The fact that you even managed to get here is a sign of hope for the future, though. Something special is brewing in Houston, and I am really interested to see how this team will respond to that. At one time, there was so much joking going on in the second round that I was completely convinced that the NBA was just going to hand Steph Curry his 5th NBA ring. But I didn't account for something that I never ever expected to happen. Curry ended up with an injury that took him out for the series. Season over even with Jimmy Butler doing all he could. A crushing end to the Warriors season. Enjoy Curry while you can, Warriors, because he may not last much longer in the NBA. Obviously he's not going to retire now, but he's certainly not getting younger. The Nuggets have brought us some entertaining playoff games this year. Delicious to watch as a neutral, but absolutely frustrating for the fans. On paper, the Nuggets-Thunder matchup is practically even across the board. I consider the Nuggets starters a little better than the Thunder starters, and I consider the Thunder bench a little deeper than the Nuggets bench. However, there was one edge I knew the Thunder would have, though. Coaching. They stuck with their guy. The Nuggets were rolling with an intern after firing their coach for whatever reason. I feel like Michael Malone really would have helped you this series. He would have been the difference maker. I'm actually speechless. How did you blow 2 gigantic leads at home in consecutive games? Complete and utter failure there. Had you not blown those leads, while Tatum would probably still be injured, but the Celtics would at least still win in 5, which would be a lot less embarrassing experience for you. Now you have this chip on your shoulder, and Tatum will probably be out for most of, if not all of the 2025-26 season. My advice? Take a long hard look in the mirror and ask yourselves, what have you done to get to this point? Oh boy, if you thought the Celtics choked, just take a look at this team. The Cavaliers, the number 1 overall seed in the East, got crushed by the Pacers in 5 games. outmatched and outmuscled when they had no business of doing so. They can't even really blame injuries this time. None of their stars were knocked out. And as if the series loss couldn't get any worse, Game 2 was a fumble for the ages. This might be all they're known for when it's all said and done. Choking. Hopefully I'm wrong and this team can still succeed in the playoffs in the future. But who knows? Well, at least you got another Western Conference final run to your name. But once you faced a team that wasn't catered to losing to you or wasn't injured and completely done like dinner, it was pretty much curtains for you, as a 5-game gentleman sweep pretty much sealed the deal. Just how much more can Anthony Edwards carry this team? Will the supporting cast actually help him? And can he carry them to a glorious finals appearance? Only time shall tell. Hey, remember how the Celtics blew their series against you? Well, get ready to feel that exact same pain against a team you wanted revenge on. You thought Game 1 and 2 were crazy comebacks for the Knicks? Well, Game 1 was an even crazier choke for the Knicks. Halliburton has been going on an insane run these playoffs, and he's not letting the likes of you stop him. Well, that's what I call a blown opportunity. Not that you're not used to it. Well, this should be an interesting finals matchup. It's gathered a lot of hate, mostly from casuals who want more Lakers-Celtics finals and ESPN analysts who just can't stand small market teams winning. They will have to deal with the finals between Oklahoma City and Indiana. The Thunder have built themselves from the ground up ever since they fumbled a big three squad back in the early 2010s, and have now become one of the most fun teams in basketball. Indiana's been on an insane run just to even get here. And my gosh, do they want the finals. If they win, it'll be their first ever. And if the Thunder win, it'll be their first finals since moving to OKC. I'm thinking Thunder in 5, but I hope the finals turn out better than that. John chapter 6, verse 26 and 27. Jesus replied, I tell you the truth. You want to be with me because I fed you, not because you understood the miraculous signs. But don't be so concerned about perishable things like food. Spend your energy seeking the eternal life that the Son of Man can give you. For God the Father has given me the seal of his approval.